And we begin here tonight, another day of flooding in our area, this time another river, the Frio River. Meteorologist Adam Caskey standing by to get us an update on the forecast in just a bit. But first, I want to get to the latest information we have from Governor Greg Abbott about the number of missing related to the July 4th floods along the Guadalupe River. Just in the last hour, we heard that he said that number of missing is now at 97 people. That is a drop of more than 60 people from what we learned at the end of last week. The governor did say that people who were in camps, people who were at hotels, essentially people they had record of being along the Guadalupe River, those folks have been accounted for one way or the other. Either they've been found or they have been rescued. So that is a dramatic increase. A bit of positive news, 97 people now missing related to the Guadalupe River flooding out of the Kerrville area. But today, we're talking a lot about the Frio River and what's happening there, Adam.
And a very different situation, than what we had along the Guadalupe for many reasons. Not as much recreation along there. Warnings were out very early, and it was during the time of day where everybody was awake and getting those warnings, and everything was taken care of. So we don't have any reports of any, water rescues or anything like that. But there are some camps and RV parks in Concan, particularly. And by the way, this is all south of Garner State Park, where most of the flooding was. And we do think that Concan already crested at about 13 feet. That was at about 2 p.m. right there, 13 feet. See how this morning it rose, dropped, then really spiked. And that was likely the crest for it. But then we also have downstream where that swell of water is still going. It says Frio River near Uvalde, but that's really closer to Knippa, basically just south of Knippa, just south of Highway 90. Put this full screen because I know you have to squint a little bit. But here's the hydrograph from the National Weather Service, expecting the crest to be about 17 feet later on this evening around 9 p.m. And really the primary threat for that would be for agricultural areas and potentially some livestock. That's about it. And that forecast is for just south of Knippa, just on the south side here of Highway 90. So notice that flood warning still in effect. Concan has already crested, but that swell of water is pushing southward, making it to the Knippa area just in a couple of hours. And then you go north. I know the Frio River upstream, Lakean into northern Rial County, no flooding issues. That's why we haven't been reporting on that. It's just a swell of water right here because of the astounding amounts of rain. Look at the rainfall totals over the past 24 hours in this area, from Lakey down to Concan. Remember, that river flows from north to south. 8 to upwards of 9 inches of rain estimated by Doppler radar in a short period of time. And then you head into southern Kinney County and northern Maverick County, and even higher amounts, in some cases over 10 inches of rain recently. We'll talk more about rain chances going forward in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Adam. The Frio River has already reached moderate flood stage at Concan. That's where we find our Avery Everett this evening. Avery, she's right along Highway 137 out there. So how is it looking where you are?
Well, to so many people that we've spoken out here today, they say that the Frio River now looks very different than how it looked yesterday. You can see just how fast moving this river is. I mean, the rapids that are coming down the horizon. But we were told yesterday that this was ankle-deep water. People who were camping here say that they were crossing over this river with no hesitation. Now they're blocks away out of safety. But we have been told that the water hasn't been fast-moving enough and hasn't flooded enough to breach the bridge that we're standing on now. I'm on Highway 127. On the pedestrian side of this bridge. Within the last 30 minutes, this roadway reopened to drivers. There was a whole group of people waiting at the top of the hill, trying to get to their homes right behind me down the line. Now you can see drivers are passing on this bridge, some slowing down to take photos. Some people I spoke to say they've lived here their whole lives, and they haven't seen it like this in a while. I mean, Matt, if you can pan down that way just to show how rapid some of that water is moving just south of us. We're in Concan right now. But again, people are saying that this just happened since the morning. Some people who have homes up north of us were saying that this happened around 2 a.m. I know our Katrina Weber was out here earlier in the morning, but since we've gotten here, this bridge has reopened. We spoke to one sheriff deputy who said he doesn't know if it's going to stay open for the rest of the night. It really just depends on what the rest of the weather is. But for now, the biggest update, the Highway 127 road is open and the water is flowing underneath the road. Myra?
Highway 127 open, water not over the road. Avery, thank you. Avery mentioned that our Katrina Weber was also in that area earlier today. She was there showing us how folks in Concan brace themselves for any possible trouble.
Nature has clearly been in a mood all day, stirring up trouble along the Frio River. As the water began to rage and rise, fire crews in Concan were already up and in place in case they had to go into rescue mode.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, we start notifying all the resort owners that are in the area and all the outfitters and letting them know that this is what our water gauge could be.
With flooding in the forecast, all hands, including a swift water rescue crew from El Paso, were on deck. They made sure people potentially in harm's way got to higher ground. Some people, though, headed toward the water to get a first-hand look and take pictures for later. Lance Mabry was worried about how close to home it might come.
Just checking the flow and see how high it rose, see if we needed to worry about getting out. Hopefully we don't.
Being safe rather than sorry seems to be the common theme among people along the river's edge. After seeing what happened up in the hill country, they took the threat here seriously.
Very scary. My heart goes out to people in Ingram and Hunt and Kerrville and everything over there.
By late morning, all but a few campers at this RV park had cleared out.
They were perched up on the side of the hill, so we're going to stay there and let the water recede.
This man felt it was better to stay put than try rolling out.
Pulling an RV down off the hill to get on this road, and it's going downhill that way, and the river's this way. And
he says he'd rather wait out the river's rise instead of ending up at its mercy. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
In Kerr County, officials there asking volunteers searching for the Guadalupe River for those still missing after the 4th of July floods to seek higher ground because of the weather today. The volunteers have been helping local crews since the floods hit. That has now been 10 days ago. And today we know the current death toll as a result of those July 4th floods, more than 130 people across the entire state of Texas. Governor Greg Abbott giving that update a little bit earlier today. The governor did not go into specifics about deaths in Kerr County. Our last update from Kerr County came yesterday about 5:35 p.m. So far, 106 people have died. 70 of the victims are adults, 36 of them children. We're still working to get the latest numbers from Kerr County. We also know, as we mentioned at the top of the show, that 97 people are still missing along the Guadalupe River. We learned this afternoon that the father, stepmother, and toddler brother of a flood survivor have been found among the deceased. Their names are Leonardo Romero, Natalia Venzor, and Carlos Romero. Leonardo's son Leo spoke to me last week in Kerrville. All 4 family members were inside their home when it was swept off its foundation as the Guadalupe River rose on the 4th. Leo's family confirmed with me today that his family has now been recovered. Leo's story sparked such an incredible outpouring of support for the 19-year-old. If you're looking for a way to help out, you can find his full story on KSAT.com. The mental and emotional toll of the deadly floods in Kerr County has been tremendous. Counselors have been on the ground in the hardest hit area since day one. Courtney Friedman caught up with one of those counselors in Kerrville who's been working nonstop. Courtney joins us live now. And Courtney, this has been unimaginable for so many people on a lot of different sides of this.
Yeah, Myra, it has. From those grieving families waiting for missing loved ones to be found, to the first responders, to the thousands of volunteers across this area, and even just people in this community. People are suffering right now, and today is a good example. It was very triggering for this community. I've talked to a lot of members who have come to look at how fast this river is moving. You mentioned earlier, Myra, that some first responders were pulled off of the river. A lot of triggers happening just a week after this, about 10 days after this, and that is the reason these counselors, like the folks that I talk to, are so crucial, because they've been here since day one. Kelly Harris and her team, she's worked with the Ecumenical Center for a decade. They were with families at the reunification centers during the crisis itself and have been spending lots of time with the first responders, delivering care packages and making sure they're okay with the things that they have been seeing. But I also wanted to know how her mental health was holding up. The counselors themselves are experiencing a lot of this trauma.
hardest things for clinicians, first responders, healthcare is compassion fatigue. So if you overcare, and it's the cost of caring too much for too long, we'll burn out. And so we get to know our limits, and we get to take care of ourselves, body, mind, spirit, so that we can be here for the duration.
And that duration is going to be a long haul. She said that she is ready to be here for her own community. She's stationed in Bandera and she lives in this community. A lot of these counselors are ready to be here as long as they are needed. Now, coming up at 6, I talked to Kelly about what is the toughest thing that she has experienced since she's been out here, and she opened up to me about that. So that's on our story at 6 o'clock tonight on KSAT 12 News. For now, we're live in Kerrville. Courtney Friedman. Back to you, Myra.
Courtney, thank you. That help is so desperately needed. Let's take a look back here in San Antonio at the roads right now. This is I-35 at Salado Creek. This is an accident that seems to be backing things up. Looks like at least one lane and the shoulder are tied up right now with a tow truck, a couple of first responder vehicles, and the cars involved in all this. Things slow going as traffic makes its way around this here I-35 at Salado Creek. A man accused of shooting and killing 2 people outside of an H-E-B has been arrested and charged now. 49-year-old Lorenzo Aleman was taken into custody earlier today. He's accused of shooting and killing his ex-partner and another man in the parking lot of the H-E-B on South New Braunfels Avenue on Sunday. After that shooting, police say Aleman left the scene, but he was arrested about 5 hours later. Aleman is now charged with capital murder. Texas flood victims, something else to watch out for. Scammers are faking FEMA claims to try to steal disaster money. Coming up, we'll talk about how to spot a scam and how to report it. FEMA is warning of scammers trying to take advantage of people affected by the Texas floods. The federal agency says that fraudsters are filing fake claims with FEMA, hoping they get the money instead of actual victims. So here's a warning. If someone from FEMA contacts you, but you never applied for help, don't share any personal information with them. FEMA says they will never ask for your bank information. And if you spot anything suspicious, report it to FEMA or visit the Disaster Recovery Center in Kerrville for some in-person help. In Ingram, search efforts called off for the day because of the rain and the risk of additional flooding. That's after rain also forced crews to get a later start, about noon today. We talked with the incident commander and operations chief at the Ingram Fire Station. Over the last 3 days, they've been responsible for over 300 people searching an 8-mile stretch of the river. 10 days after the July 4th floods, there is still so much work to do.
We are sending crews down this morning to evaluate all of that, but we're almost positive we will get back to work around 12:30 this afternoon.
It's got to be frustrating because you want to get back to work. There's so much work to be done, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It is very frustrating but we're used to challenges. We get challenges on a regular basis, just day to day. This is a much larger challenge.
As we mentioned, that work was cut short because of the weather. As they work on search and rescue, they're also still responding to everyday calls. It is important to remember here as well that Ingram firefighters are an all-volunteer group. Here at KSAT, we, along with our sister station, KPRC out of Houston, and our parent company, Graham Media Group, along with Gray Media, have united to launch a donation drive called Together for Texas to help flood victims. You can scan the QR code here on your screen to donate. So far, thanks to your generosity, this campaign has already raised more than $760,000. That is awesome. Tomorrow, KSAT is hosting a Together for Texas phone bank to help with the Kerr County flood relief efforts. This will be happening from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Funds will go toward the Together for Texas fund that we just told you about. The money will go directly to the community and to on-the-ground efforts all through the Salvation Army. If you want to stay up to date with all our coverage but aren't exactly sure how, we want to hear from you about that. KSAT 12 is hosting a town hall later this month at Santico's Casablanca. We'll be discussing how to receive all of our KSAT content, any signal issues you might have, and we'll just be taking questions from the community. Scan the QR code on your screen to sign up for a seat. This is a free event happening Wednesday, July 23rd from 7 to 8 p.m. You can find more information on our website at ksat.com. All right, look outside with live cam. We've talked about the flooding along the Frio, but even here in downtown today, Adam, we got some good downpours.
Yeah, we did have a few solid downpours earlier today, and a few of them followed each other. Now there's nothing over San Antonio. And I do want to take you back to earlier today. This is the Frio River at Lakey, and you can see the flooding from earlier. And it actually crested earlier today at just under 12 feet. That was the latest from the river gauge there. And I want to show you that river gauge. Here it is, crested, boom, right there earlier today. That was closer to 3 p.m. or even earlier. That crested just under 12 feet. So that's what the Lakey, you're seeing it recede. Concan, it's receding, but the water is still flowing southward toward Canipa, and that's where we're expecting the crest to primarily impact agriculture and potentially some livestock closer to the river later this evening with the crest at 8 p.m. Now, we just had two outflow boundaries come together. Let me put this in motion over the past 2 hours, and you'll see these outflow boundaries. See these green lines? Outflow from previous thunderstorms. They're colliding and coming together, and when they collide, that generates more upward motion and lift in the atmosphere, and in turn, kickstarting a few more showers and thunderstorms. Right now, very isolated, but some moderate to heavy rainfall. This is just outside New Berlin and just southwest of Seguin and closer to Sutherland Springs. I still do think we could get a little more development in this area just over the next hour or so. And elsewhere, we're watching for more development as well, because there could still be more pop-up downpours and thunderstorms going forward. And that's why through tonight and into tomorrow morning. We have the flood watch in effect until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Can't rule out some isolated pockets of 1 to 2 inches and maybe even a bullseye of 5 or more like we've been seeing. In this kind of setup, things can change very quickly and can change rapidly. So also check back in for the updates. Now, I want to talk about the overall situation here. And over Texas, we still have some of this rain-making energy. A few spots, actually, over Texas. And this is going to continue to drift around overhead, even on into tomorrow. And then upper level high should nose its way in just enough to give us a break for a couple of days in the middle of the week. However, we keep going westward, and here's what we're watching. Notice this cluster of unorganized thunderstorms and upper level swirl. That's our next system that's going to be headed westward. And there's a slight chance that it could develop into a next tropical system, like a tropical depression or a tropical storm. Right now, the Hurricane Center gives it a 30% chance of that. Either way, this is headed westward, and if it does not organize, then it's going to head our way and bring us some more upper level energy and give us another shot at some showers and storms as we get into Friday time frame. Thursday night on into Friday is when we could have that. All right, here's a look at our forecast for tomorrow. The rest of the night, so we're on the lookout for some pop-up downpours and thunderstorms. I think if we're going to see any, we'll see them developing before 10 p.m. and then a slight chance thereafter. But tomorrow, just a 20 to 30% coverage across our area. Quick downpours, can't rule them out. And then, as I said before, we get a few days for a break in the action for the middle part of the week, and then we have that energy that we're watching coming in from Florida that could then give us a little more rain by Friday. Right now it's at 20%, but remember, these systems can change quickly, so check back in for updates, Myra.
All right, thank you, Adam. Larry Ramirez joining us now. Larry, you have some fantastic Wemby news.
Yes, Victor Wembanyama said today that he has been cleared for full contact. That is a great thing, so that means he is over his blood clot. And we got a quote from Wemby to express just how excited he is for this moment. And the Summer League Spurs, they are back at it tonight, looking to remain undefeated in Las Vegas. Coming up.
I feel great. I ain't playing, like you just said, I ain't playing about, so I was itching to get back up on that court. But
that made him very happy in big board sports. And speaking of happy, Spurs big man Victor Wembanyama today announced he's recovered from the blood clot in his right shoulder, per French sports journalist Maxime Oba. After missing the final 36 games of the Spurs regular season with the blood clot issues, Wembanyama has been cleared to resume full contact and practices and will have several months to get back into playing shape. Now, Wemby underwent surgery on the deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder back in March, and the Spurs have officially cleared him to return to action. And here's what Wemby had to say. Quote, I'm officially cleared to return. It just happened. I got the green light from the Spurs medical staff just a few hours ago. Phew, I'll finally be able to play a bit of basketball again, end quote. Now, the Spurs beat the Mavericks Saturday 76-69, improving the 2-0 in Las Vegas. Spurs rookie and number 2 overall draft pick Dylan Harper made his summer league debut, and he scored 16 points in 20 minutes. He shot 5 for 12 from the field overall, went 6 of 7 from the free throw line, had 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, and a block shot. Dude was all over the court playing his first game in some time. Now, Harper missed all 3 games in Cali and the first one in Las Vegas due to a minor groin injury. So, did he have to lobby coach to play, or was that the plan for him to go on Saturday?
I think the plan is always to play if I'm available, if I feel ready, if I'm right, if the time is right, if the me and people talk over and stuff is right, and I'm all good to go. I feel like I'm always going to play.
How do you feel for Monday against Faze?
It's gonna be a lot different, just because I was his teammate for a year. So just playing against him gonna feel weird, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
You guys shared a moment at halftime, you and Ace. What did he tell you?
He said it was good. I seen him once out here, and I see him again. Looking at him coming to support the team is just meant the world just to see your best friend.
The 2-0 Spurs will play the 0-2 Utah Jazz tonight at 7:30 at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas. Dylan Harper will see his former Rutgers teammate and best friend Ace Bailey, who's questionable though with right hip soreness. We'll be right back after the break.
All right, the new area of development we've been watching, roughly from Kyle to San Marcos down to Geronimo, Seguin, McQueenie. A couple of outflow boundaries have come together, and even near New Berlin, we have some lightning strikes. This is the zone we'll be watching over the next couple of hours, and we'll have an update coming up at 6.
Okay, thanks for watching. World News is next.